We are today, BCM Simon here, talking Row Football on Twitter. We've got the source for English channels on Row Football, Romanian football. We're talking Olympics, like I said, Olympics, Olympics, Olympics. We've got New Zealand, Honduras, and South Korea. Couldn't be better draw, and we couldn't have a better person with us here today. This is Filip Buderu. He runs Row Football on Twitter. Nice to see you, Phil.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, I'm very excited about this summer. Looking forward to the Olympics, and I think we can actually do pretty well there.
Speaking of doing well, we haven't had a finals tournament where the teams aren't absolute monsters. And this time, it seems like they can work their way into the tournament, gain some confidence, and possibly make a run.
Yeah, I think I think it also helps that we have a lot of players that are young but also experienced already in the senior national team, and that kind of chemistry is going to help us go a long way. I think in that sense, that chemistry and experience, I should say. Um, but yeah, let's see. What do you think about our group?
Well, there's a big decision that's going to have to be made, and I think maybe the biggest decision that's going to have to be made is along the lines of, do we include a guy like Vlad Kirkis or do we not, because of his inability to play multiple games in a short period of time?
Well, personally, I don't even know if I would call him necessarily over Nedelcharu. I feel like Nedelcharu was part of the under 21 tournament in 2019, and he's getting good experience in Greece right now. Um, and although I understand Kirikesh has been with some big clubs and he is just such an experienced member of the national team, he's just unreliable in the sense of both being injured a lot and also just brain farts at the back. You know, he's good in the tackle when he wants to. He's decent on the ball. He's got good vision, good passing, but he's just a liability sometimes. And I feel like even at this level, I just rather go with Nedecharu.
And speaking of Nedeljkovic, he is for sure someone that can defend set plays, and that is something we're missing.
Yeah, he's quite decent in the air as well, and he is a solid young player. I really liked him against Belarus, even though that was Belarus. But I think we need to see more of him more consistently in the seniors because he hasn't had too many games recently with the seniors.
Absolutely. And if we're looking at our offense, I mean, we don't have any complaints there. It looks like there's going to be so much talent resembling that 1994 tournament.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like relatively speaking, it's definitely we've got that technical talent for sure. Like I think if Mihaila and Man are there, that's like a huge bonus already, just in terms of attacking talent. Like Mihaila will totally shred defenders, especially for the type of defenders that Honduras and New Zealand have. His speed, his technique, you know, his shooting ability. Never mind even Man, who's even more complete in terms of like dribbling and things like that. So having these two players alone is already an exciting prospect. And then you add other players, like you're saying, that are a bit underrated. I think like Chobanu in midfield, Chicaldo. He already scored his first two goals for the seniors, and it's just looking really promising in attack. So,
And maybe even the biggest feature, a guy that deserves a big club move right now, Razvan Marin. So is on a tear in the midfield in Serie A, and he's been the most consistent Romanian side of maybe Stefan Radu.
he's actually got one of the most key passes in 2021 in all of Europe. I think he was eighth, and that was as of 2 months ago, and he's continuing to add these so up. So I'm sure he's still in the top 10, maybe even top five. Who knows? Until they calculate that again, but basically, I think he's got 58 key passes this season. So that's insane.
And look at this team. There's something that I think needs to really be considered when we look at this team, And I want your opinion on, does coaching selection base themselves on who can play a full tournament because they're expecting to go into the later rounds, or do they play wild card players that might not be able to survive the entire tournament because it is a short roster?
Yeah, I think because there's only 18 players allowed at the Olympics, there will definitely be it'll be a versatile squad. So you'll have a lot of players that can play at least two positions at least. So like Haruts is a good example, Bobok, and they're going to be crucial players in that sense. Mana probably because right back and center back. So that's going to offer us an advantage in terms of depth because of the limited size of the squad. But also, I think it's not just versatility. Obviously, you want quality and experience. So, considering what we just said with the transition of the players to the senior squad in the last couple of years, I think we're going to see a lot of good chemistry in that sense and experience. So it's going to benefit us versus other teams that are just sending mostly new young players and maybe a couple experienced heads.
Absolutely. And that's where our expectations must be sky high for this team, because this might be, correct me if I'm wrong, Romania's best chance at reaching a medal in maybe history will tell, but the best chance ever, and our best chance at a major tournament to make a Final Four.
Well, yeah, I mean, since if you consider the 2019, we reached the Final Four, but I get what you're saying. Like that was the under 21 Euros, right? This is the Olympics, so it's kind of a little bit of a jump from the under 21s. You've got definitely some older players now, so it's gonna be interesting, and it's not just Europe, right? It's the whole, you've got South American teams, so it's gonna be very interesting.
Oh, I consider this tournament on par with a World Cup or a Euro, and the reason why I say this is because the whole world is watching. It's not just the Euro U21s. Not a lot of people from around the world tune into that unless they're from that country. This is going to be the entire world watching Romania top a group potentially.
Yeah, it's a much bigger audience. You're right, and it's also got a nice legacy in the likes of Messi and Neymar having already won it. I know Neymar did. I believe Messi did as well.
Messi played in Canada, didn't he?
Sorry, what?
Did Messi play in Canada?
Did you say Messi in Canada?
He played in the Canadian tournament, didn't he?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yes, that was right. Yeah, the tournament that was in Canada. Yeah, I remember that. Was it 2000?
My favorite player in that tournament is little Diego Bonadette.
Sorry, say that again.
Little Diego Bonadette. He was my favorite player in that tournament. He was like 5'3" or something like that, and he was awesome. He was like 18 years old back then.
Yeah.
But as we can see,
yeah, he did win it. Sorry, he did win it in 2008, and that's the one that you're talking about. And he also won the under-20 World Cup, so that's interesting. Yeah.
And we look at our team, and could they just bring one striker? Could it just be Puskás?
I think we'll probably have a player that can play on the wing and up top, at least as the backup, and then Puskás will almost certainly be the other overage player along with Marin and Nedelcharu or Kirikesh, one of those two for defense.
So this is something really interesting because Nicolae Stanciu has had a career year, and we're not even talking about him making it over Marin. And when we talk about Stanciu, is he just a luxury player?
I think he thrives when the pressure is taken off him, kind of in the sense, in the physical sense, so he's allowed to play his game and roam free, because he's got very good technical abilities, but he's very easily pushed and things like that, and he loses focus that way, and he's not as when he plays tired or physically outmatched, he doesn't, like, his technique suffers. I noticed that.
Absolutely. And if you look at his club team, he's got physical beasts surrounding him. and they just bullied Rangers to the point where Rangers were abusing them because they couldn't find any solutions for them. And when we look at our team right now, that midfield, we really don't need him. I mean, we've got Chicaldo, we've got Marin, we've got Shibanu, we've got an incredible midfield there, and the creative guy coming off the bench. I mean, why do we need another creative set of feet?
Yeah, I mean, even Morutsan, even if you want to say, sure, he didn't have a great under 21s, I mean, he was quite disappointing, but we all know what he's capable of, so he has to still be there for me. I mean, at least off the bench, like you're saying, and then Haji as well. We can say what we want about Haji, but he's still very a talented player to me. So those two being on the bench when you have Chicaldo, Marin, Chobanu, I mean, that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of depth in midfield.
And speaking about Haji, in 1994, his father came out. It was a coming out party in the U.S. And could Yanis have an Olympic breakout against a lot of younger kids, and in a weak group where he may be able to flash some magic?
Yeah, I think he can really shine, especially against like teams that are a little less experienced. Like the teams in our group, basically. But once we get to the quarterfinals, it's a totally different level, I think, because we'll probably draw like the best from the other group. So I think it will be either Japan, Mexico, or France, depending on how we finish in this group. Assuming we make it that far, which I hope.
And assuming that we have enough talent on that bench to put the three teams in our group away, what do you do? Do you rotate bench players on game 2 and 3 and basically put your best 11 on the first game, or do you give them only the third game break? How do you divvy these minutes up? Because we all know that Romania has struggled immensely when it comes to playing tournaments in such a short time span.
Yeah, I think it's gonna really depend because you want to start off with the win, bro. Like especially in terms of mentality, it's very important to start off with a win, obviously. But the thing is, you want to save the best for Korea, right? Because they're the best team, the other best team in the group. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's good. We have to save the best for Korea, I think. But they should be able to play, like, at least the starters should be able to play 2 games at least. You can switch up a few of them for, let's say, the game against New Zealand, but otherwise they still have to play, I think. Like, they're young. Most of them are pretty fit. They have to be able to play at least 2 out of 3 games, like close to 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I see that. And when we look at the team that we have, do you expect us to be playing almost like a 4-3-3 offensive in this group?
Yeah, I expect. Sorry, not Mutu. Radoy is going to take over for this tournament, but I expect him to stick with the 4-3-3 that we've seen most of the time with these under 21s. It's also it's an attacking formation, but you have you still have that holding midfielder, the defensive midfielder, I should say, in Marius Marin or Balutza. We'll see who gets called. Probably Marin because Balutza hasn't played. Yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna have to use 4-3-3 DM is probably what we're gonna see. But there is the novelty of playing 4-2-3-1 with like Haji or Morutsan as the attacking midfielder in some games. But I don't think they're gonna want to switch it up that much here. I think they're going to want to keep the same formation throughout.
That chemistry is going to be so important to bring into that quarterfinal game, which leads me to my next question. Give me 3 keys three keys to the tournament for Romania to be in a podium match, which means top four.
Sorry, three what again?
There's three keys for Romania to make itself known and land into that top four to get a chance at a podium. What are the three keys?
Well, three things. I think we're going to have to play passing, combinated football. And that's going to depend, obviously, on using our best talents, right? So the likes of Chicaldo, Marin, Haji, these guys have really good passing. And we're going to want players like Mihaila and Man who are able to win free kicks, or even Koman by then, we'll see, in and around the box to win free kicks. And then you have a player like Chobanu who can take a very good free kick. So that's another thing, the second thing. And third of all, we're going to need a united group, a motivated group that we saw like at both of the last under-21 tournaments, because they had a few good leaders like Radu Pușcanu, even Marius Marin, and of course Rădoi as the manager should be able to inspire the same players that he managed in 2019, along with the new faces. So it's going to be very important that he motivates them.
And that relationship piece is there, and that's so important because if we look at Romanian teams at the national team level previous to Rădoi, there's a lack of camaraderie amongst the group, and we haven't seen that magic of 1994 since probably 1998 or 2002, and after that it's been almost Mutu carried the team, and now there's an actual group that is essentially on the same level.
Yeah, it's very, very even, and of course you have a few standouts, but it's very well distributed. But I still feel like our main area of prominence is the midfield is very, very stacked. But for once, it seems like we have every area has at least one standout player and a few other players who are similar level, like you're saying. So we have a lot of depth.
Possession football is going to be key. We've got like with the combination play, then we've got a necessity for the team to gel well together, and lastly, those guys need to be able to battle on the field, which they showed they could do in the U21s. Which brings me to that big last question: how many points do you think they get in this group, and do you think they take out a France in the quarters?
I think minimum in this group, if we don't get 7 points, I'll be very disappointed. I think that's the minimum, but we can very easily, we can still get 9 points, I think. Depends on whether Korea bring a player like Son from Spurs. I don't think he'll be there, but he could be. And if he shows up, then he could be a terror for our defense. But other than that, I mean, I don't think they'll be better than us. I don't think they will be.
Well, how many national teams have their entire roster going to the Olympics? And does France have enough to beat us in that position?
Yeah, France isn't going to send someone like Mbappe. I mean, they could, but I really don't think so because it's just too big now. And they do have a lot of talents. That's the thing. So they are pretty stacked, but we won't see like Mbappe. But we could see I think we'll see Kamavinga, which is a standout. Konate possibly, who just moved to Liverpool, by the way. So.
Against an entire room. The expectations for this.
I know what you mean, the chemistry, yeah.
A national team. This isn't, I mean, outside of one or two players, maybe, this is the entire national team. And this is a team that competes for qualification at the men's level. So what does that say about the Romanian national team if they cannot make a semifinals here?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be very disappointed, but I think a team like France has the players, but not the chemistry. And we'll have that chemistry for sure. So we can go toe-to-toe with them. So I think quarterfinals is a minimum goal, and semis is a doable goal. Anything more than that is just amazing. But I think if I think it's possible to hit the podium. It's doable.
Absolutely. And pending the, the guys not getting injured throughout that tournament, we saw Razvan Rat and was it Miro Radoy? They bumped heads in Euro 2008, which
Yeah.
Romania back big time because that was those were two very key players. And now you've got a unit where maybe the most fit group we've had at a major tournament in recent memory, at least.
Yeah, I think so because I mean, you look at even what was it, 2009 or 2010, something like that. When we played Serbia and we had like one of the biggest humiliations. We lost 5-0 and we had Mutu and Kivu then, you know, not at their peak, obviously, but still, it's like it was very disappointing to hear that they went together to a bar after the match as if it was nothing, right? And that kind of shows you the comparison of mentality back then to now. So I think it's very different in that sense. And guys like Radu returning to the national team can be a very big boost again because even though he hasn't played in a while, he still trains every day at a big club and with big players, and he has that leadership skills. So, Andrei Vlad might not be there. I'm not sure, depending on what Gigi does. He said he won't let them go, but I don't know. We'll see at the last minute what happens. But even if Vlad doesn't go, I think we still have a great situation with Radu. I'm assuming Radu would be allowed to come because if we lose both keepers, then it's not looking as good. But that's just a small thing. In general, we'll still have a pretty good squad.
And my last question on this Olympics topic for today is: do you think that, and this is almost cynical, do you think that the Romanian media will find a way to be positive? I know you're already like, I see the nervousness in your presentation. Be positive and really rally behind this group going into the Olympics.
I think they'll be positive at first, but I don't see the Romanian media changing completely, at least not anytime soon, in my opinion. I still think they're going to be very reactive. How do you call it? Not reactive, reactionary. So if we lose one game, even against a decent team, they might attack a few players or something. But I don't know. I think they're gonna still start out positive, like they did with the under-21s, but they'll definitely pick them apart if something goes wrong. Even if we make quarterfinals, they'll find a way. I don't know. That's just how I see
Yep.
the media. They're very reactionary.
And that's why we exist, because we can provide that alternative media where we speak quite honestly about the players and their situations, and we don't really want to project any sort of, nobody's paying us on the back door. We don't want to project anything that is going to impact their performance. And it seems that the media dictates a lot of what happens in Romanian football, and it's really shameful.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely impacted, manager careers and player careers as well, in terms of the drama they create, and it's definitely it's not positive influence because, yes, you can criticize players that have done badly, but when you go so far as to create a huge drama and destroy the player's career over, one bad performance or something. After last week, you just said he's like this amazing player. It's almost like comparing it to Gigi, the way he talks. It's similar.
They're
So
bipolar. Yeah.
yeah, it's bipolar, really, the media. So
So one last thing, uh, we're looking at Row Football on Twitter. That's your big niche. Are you all in for the Romanian Olympics? Are you going to be the go-to place for Romanian football for the Olympics?
sorry, you cut out on the last part there.
going to be the go-to place for Romanian football for these Olympics in English.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna try to do my best. I'm sure there's gonna be some other people following closely and posting about it, but I like to take my time and really present stuff nicely. So I'm gonna be putting a lot of effort in this, and definitely. The thing is, for me, because I'm in Eastern Standard Time, it's gonna be most of the games are like 4:30 a.m., 7 a.m. During the week even. So the 7 a.m. ones I can watch myself live. 4:30, I'm gonna have to report when I wake up and based off highlights and stuff. But I think 2 out of 3 of the group games are at 7 a.m., so I'll be mostly okay. I think just New Zealand's at 4:30 a.m. here, and then the quarterfinal is probably around 7 as well. So yeah, it's not too bad.
All right. So
Definitely cover it.
what we have here is Filip Budru. He is the host and owner of the Row Football in English on Twitter, ROFTBL. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
And we're gonna have a link below so you can go check Phil's stuff out. I'm telling you, this guy, if you look at Romanian media compared to what this guy does, he's honest, transparent. He does everything fairly, and it's statistical and it's based on actual evidence. The greatest thing about what he's doing is we have actually run a hoax, you and I, and another friend of ours, on the Stefan Radu, the Olympics for Romania. And every single one of the media outlets for Romania posted that news as if it was their own with a new spin on it. And we did that to prove a point that they were stealing your data.
Yeah, basically. I definitely, for any viewers out there that follow me, I don't post false information ever. That was just an experiment to see, and even possibly influence, Radu himself. But we knew that wasn't likely. That we just more wanted to see the reaction of the media and if they were actually going to take this, right?
And we found out that they steal your stuff and they don't actually do their own homework. So what you get when you go to Row Football is on Twitter is you're getting actual homework. You're getting actual data, and he's not BSing you. So at the end of the day, you're getting everything in English without the background noise, the corruption, the misuse and misrepresentation of the players and the managers. And I gotta say, Phil, you do an outstanding job, and I'm looking forward to seeing you get this stuff rolling for the Olympics and really build some momentum behind the Romanian football team.
Thanks, Brandon. Claudio, actually. But
the GSP has like the boy with two names, so
yeah, when they covered you, yeah. Yeah, I really, the thing is, I really enjoy what I do. I'm not trying to gain anything out of it. I'm not doing it for clicks like the media are. So I'm just doing it I'm doing honest work. I'm not trying to trick anyone. Like the Radu case was a special case, as we said, but I'm really trying to just deliver the good content to people out there because I think Romanian football needs this coverage and deserves this. And also maybe we'll learn and grow from this for other people in the future, maybe.
We can set the tone and you're the one setting it. I'm really glad to have you on here today. We are going to do this again, I hope, very soon and keep updates going for the Olympics.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
All right. So Filip Budru, Row Football, thanks for having you, and we'll see you soon.
All right. See ya.